Once I'm in my story, the first thing I'm going to do is make my title. So I'm going to click inside the title. I know it's the title because it says title there. Now I'm going to put a capital letter at the beginning of my title. The capital letter, I hold down the shift and press the T, or whatever the first letter is. For me, mine is the T. So I'm going to hold down the shift, press the T, and the rest of the letters in a word are lowercase. After a word, I need to put one space. I make one space by clicking on the space bar at the bottom of my keyboard. I add my space. The next word also needs to have a capital letter as well. Then a space after a word. So make sure each first word or first letter in a word has a capital letter. If the word the, and, or a, if they're in the middle of a title, you do not have to capitalize those. Then you're going to click on the subtitle and put a capital B-Y space and your name. You could put your full name or just your first name. That is fine. You could also put your class number as well if you would like to. You do not have to, but make sure you at least have by and then your name. Go ahead and pause the video and put the title and your byline into your story. Make sure you have capitals in there. Now we're ready to start recording the second slide, which will be the beginning of my story. So you'll have a text box here at the bottom. Don't worry about anything right now. Don't worry about size or anything like that until we're done typing. So at the beginning of a sentence, again, we need to have a capital letter. Shift and then whatever the name of the letter is. Now at the beginning of my story, I have quotation marks at the beginning of my story. The quotation marks are located right next to the right shift and the enter. So I'm going to hold down the shift and press the key next to the enter. You can see they're the quotation marks because at the top it has two of those lines. So I'm going to hold down the shift and press the quotation mark and then right away start writing the word. You don't want any spaces between the punctuation and your letter. So you're going to write. Then I need a comma. If you have any commas inside your writing, the comma is located next to the M, and I'm just going to tap that one. Do not press shift, just tap this letter. Now after the comma, I'm going to have a space, and I go right into the next word. One space between words. At the end of your sentence, you need to have your punctuation. One form of punctuation is the period. You can put a period by pressing on the key that is one away from the shift or the M. Another form of punctuation could be the exclamation point. If you want an exclamation point, hold down the shift and tap the 1. You might need a question mark at the end of your sentence. I make a question mark by holding down the shift and pressing the button next to the right shift. So you can decide whatever punctuation you need, and then if you're within a dialogue which needs quotation marks, you do need to put quotation marks at the end again by holding down the shift and quotation marks. So at the end of my sentence, I'm going to hold down the shift and press the 1 to give me an exclamation point, hold down the shift, and then the quotation marks. And then I'm going to continue on. After any punctuation, I need one space before I can start the next word in my sentence. Then I can start the next word in my sentence. If I make any mistakes, like, oh, I put a period instead of putting the exclamation point, I can use the backspace. The backspace is located at the very top, and if I click on the backspace, it will go backwards to delete anything behind it. So I can use backspace, fix any mistake, and then I add a space at the end of my sentence. You're going to continue on, finish up all of your typing from this page. Now if you notice that the blue square or rectangle goes your words go outside of it, if you click on the box right here, you can pull it and it will move it. Okay, but we'll talk about that later when we're designing it. Now, after you finish writing, or when you're writing and you notice there's a red squiggly line, that means you did not spell the word correctly. One way to fix this is if you go on top of the word and you click with your middle finger. We call that right click on top of the word, and it says, do you mean nervous? Sometimes it will give you the word you want, but sometimes it might not. Like for this one, some of us felt nervous, but it's giving me the choice get. Get is not correct. I wanted to say felt. So I'm going to try again, and I'm like, oh, I was missing the L. If you can try to spell it in a different way, it might then give you a better pronunciation or spelling there. Okay? Once you finish your first page, you move on to your next page. Same thing, capital at the beginning, punctuation at the end. So make sure that if you have any mistakes, you need to fix it, a space after any word and after any punctuation. Period, space, and then you can begin your next sentence. Once you finish your second page, you can move on to your third page. After you finish your third page, we are going to go to the end. If you have more than 3 pages that you need to add typing to, you can go up here to the plus sign and press it. It will give you another page that you can use to type. So depending on how many, if you don't need it, you can delete it. And the very last slide, we can add the end at the end. So go ahead, get all your typing in there. Make sure you have your title page and the end page. Go ahead and go.